Good morning, my flower friends. This is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, and from just a week ago, this garden has changed a lot. So we're going to take a tour around the regular route, and I'll show you what has changed, and you may get a peek at my roaming chicken. She's right over here. Come here, chick, chick, chick. Come here. Anyways, she's an egg breaker, so we had to expel her from the rest of the group. Here comes Reuben. Come on. Yes, it never fails. I want to leap into the video. Reuben, the garden kitty, he's been out hunting, I wish gophers, but it's probably birds. What, are you going to chase the chicken? Bad girl? You're going to chase bad girl? Come here. Let's start right here by the fountain as usual. And you see down here my staging area where I had a lot of things for the week we were gone. Most of them have been moved. There's a few left. I have got some begonias in here to get potted up and put up on the deck. I can leave some down here. I don't have very many shady spots in my garden. My hostas are coming up beautifully. You can see them behind this Japanese maple tree. So this area is hostas. I'll have some begonias. I do leave some ivy here. Does real well. And other things. I may plant some of the violas, though I have tons of violas that came back by themselves. I may put those over by the pear tree because once it's heating up, they'll bloom much better over there. My hay rack is still doing gorgeous. When we walk around there a little bit to get some close up, let me see if I can get a close up here. Yes, you see this down here? Well, you see the ring there. It's in a heart shape. It's laying there, but there's one on the ground, and you see some Scotch moss in it. I did a video on that, and I'm letting this moss fill in a little bit before I share that video, but I think it's going to be a really nice feature in my garden as you walk along the path. Underneath that arbor bench, it just stayed kind of weedy looking, so I thought maybe that would improve it in that area. Let me take my iris that you've already seen. Here is this is Starship Enterprise iris, just starting and doing gorgeous. It's going to be really full. Next week, we are supposed to get 80s and 90s. A lot of the ones that are already started blooming will bloom out because in that kind of heat, they just go over quickly. But I've really enjoyed the last couple of weeks immensely of my blooms. Let me widen back out here for you. Down here, look at that sedum. I just love that sedum. I have it in pots around. It does beautifully in pots. One thing I like about it, it doesn't really spread fast. If you want it to spread, you need to do it yourself. This patch, I probably will leave here, and I'm going to have a bark path go around it in some fashion. I still haven't decided. I haven't taken up my pavers yet. And look, in the centerpiece, I planted some petunias, some wave petunias. I did the purple in there, and in the top, the plants, the Asiatic lilies are doing just wonderful. So slowly but surely, I'm getting my drip system in. So my paths and stuff haven't really been priority, but slowly but surely, I am getting things in here. Sorry for all the jerkiness. Let's see, there is something I wanted to take you to see that's new. I'm going to walk over there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk right over there, and we will see that spot. On the way, I need to show you my Princess Alexandra of Kent rose. It's starting to put on roses. Such a pretty, interesting color. You can see one down there. Okay, hopefully that was in view. I'm carrying the tripod. So, all right, I can get it from here. This here is a mini raised bed. I took some cedar fence boards, lined the bottom with the hardware mesh cloth, which is a wire with little 1/2-inch squares, 1/4-inch squares. I wanted to put some dahlias back here, but I didn't want the gophers to eat them. This spot was kind of empty. I thought I was going to put a bench here. And I thought, this is a perfect spot for some dahlias. The by the time the dahlias bloom, the delphiniums will be done. The hollyhock back there will still tower over it. The rose on the fence will be fine because the dahlias won't really shade it that much. So that is all that plan is. I wanted to show you this iris here. Look at this. This one is very similar to the one behind it, you see, but this one is more purple, a red purple around the edges, where the other one is more blue behind it. And you would think it was the same. And also, I should say, the top part is more lavender than it is white. And you see the hummingbirds fighting there. So let me widen back out. I'll point the camera down really quick, just moving it as gently as I can for you. This is my purple rooster monarda. Now you can get quite tall. Half of this, I'm going to cut down, chop it down by half. And it will bloom later, but it will also bloom shorter. And so I'll get an extended bloom from this big patch. That's my plan anyways. Let's see if it works. So that's right here in this section. And I have some lavenders in pots staged on top of some logs. And I have a geranium in there. And let's see, let's go back. See, you can see through there. Let me see if I can zoom up. My lettuce barrel we've been picking. We just had a huge salad off of it last night. I was going to move the rose in front of it, but I changed my mind because we are going to get the high heat, and that does provide some dappled shade for it, so it keeps it a little bit cooler. I may have to put up a little frame and shade it with some shade cloth. Let me get up a little closer. Well, I don't know. Let me see if I can zoom you in. There's the Hyde Hall rose behind is really starting to bud up. Let me see if you can see it. It's behind the purple iris. And I'm just going to get up closer. That's just silly. Before we do that, let's turn around the centerpiece from this angle. I'm just loving this. The coral sedum I put in there, that's not lemon coral sedum, that's another Angelina something. I'm really liking it. My coral sedum kind of has gotten rangy and stuff, so I need to prune it back and keep it more contained, but this one is staying compact and just has that beautiful color in there. The Asiatic lilies are doing great. They're going to be blooming pretty soon. Can't wait to see what colors they are because I forgot which ones I put in there. The violas are still doing beautifully. They might take a hit this week with the higher temperatures, but that's okay. The petunias will take over and they will shade the violas, and the violas will make it through the summer, believe it or not, just fine. So let's take a view this way. Shot. There's a pathway right there that I will replace with bark. It's stepping stones right now. And look at my sultan. I have a sultan up here and then one on the other side back there, and I really like how it takes the color back. So all of these are doing gorgeous. Everything, the delphiniums are growing. They're going to be blooming before we know it. But there's a lot of fresh iris blooming that weren't in the last video. So let's let you along the path. I'm going to move you over to the left. Got caught on a board. So here's the path we take along here. You can see where I've actually gotten some of the bark in there. And it looks like Miss Chicken has dumped out some of my succulents in little pots, but this is the path through the iris. You can see some little petunias down there. Let me see if I can get them in there. Telephoto. Yeah, along the path I planted. These are just the little grocery store 6-packs. They're nothing fancy. Regular petunias because they stay smaller and they just clump. And so I have several planted along there with some alyssum. So that'll make a perfect short edging right along there. Oh, and look at this foxglove. It's about to bloom. Let's hop up there. See that foxglove? It's a pretty white one. Now, last year, my foxgloves were much taller, more like 6 feet. This year, they're staying much shorter, and I believe that is from the drought. We had very little precipitation this year, water. In fact, California, Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, all of those are facing severe, severe drought. So, number one, to help save water, I am putting in a gray water system, as well as drip irrigation, much more than I had before. I always had it, but I have extended what I have. And I am putting in drought tolerant flowers. So there'll be much less watering, a lot of water conservation. I don't have lawn because of the water shortage. Lawns are such water suckers. I love green grass, but it just is not ecologically responsible right now, putting in vast grassland lawns that take all that water. So just beautiful. This pathway I'm lining, you can see the logs. Let me see. Let me take you over there. My pointing the finger makes it go in and out. I know me moving you around gets a little jiggly, but you can see the little logs. These are just things I've picked up from our firewood, getting, etc. And I'm using it to line the beds. I have some down here as well. Look at this gorgeous iris while we're here. Such a pretty blue, and the flowers are huge, much bigger than many of the others. But you can see down along here as well some pieces of log that I used to edge it. And I have a petunia sitting there I need to get in the ground, poor thing, especially as the heat's coming on. So pretty much that's around the garden, and we'll go check out what I've gotten done in the veggie garden. Well, here's the path to where the greenhouse is and the chicken house. My poor chicken house. Oh, I've got to show you the rows growing up, but I wanted you to see this pretty little patch of iris. Aren't these pretty? I have these. This is a vintage one a friend gave me. It wouldn't grow in her garden. She has too much shade, and I just love that little thing. So let me back out here and pull you up and look at that Cecile Brunner blooming up over, and it's kind of disguising how shabby my little chicken house looks, but it's so pretty. And let me tell you, when you walk up to the chicken house door, it is so scented. That's all you can smell. It's a spicy scent that's just lovely, peppery rose scent. But I just love that thing. One thing I learned, they do not like to be pruned, the Cecile Brunners. So one year I had pruned it down, and I got very few blooms the next spring. So I'll be more judicious in my pruning of it. But look at that, it's even trying to go up in that cedar tree up above the chicken house. Here is where I've been having my dahlias get ready to be put out in the garden, get them used to being in the sun a little bit. I have them all along here. I have that one down there. I have this tray of them up here. This is one I had used to take cuttings from, and along this wall, and they're all getting ready to go out in the garden. It's going to be warm enough, and I've got to hurry up and get them in the ground so they can become big and beautiful for me, put out the blooms. So what have we done differently in the veggie garden? I have moved the arbor obelisk. It needs to be still secured in here. Let's walk in there and I can show you a bit better. And I'll walk and move past my iris gently. Make sure I'm out wide. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can get far enough back. Anyways, what I'm going to plan on doing is, you see down here is where I'm going to plant my tomatoes. And these are going to be the support. I'm going to do the Florida weave for them for support. Give that a try. And I could put a couple between the two. And I can also put one over there where Miss Bad Girl is standing. to put one there, and then I have on this side of this obelisk, there is some cosmos that came up of its own. Oh no, that's larkspur. Right next to it over here is the cosmos. And dill. I've got lots of dill growing. I've had tons of swallowtail butterflies this year, and I want to have that available for them to lay their eggs on. So let's move around to this area. That piece of chimney thing is going to be moved to the front. I'm using it as edging. It's working really well. Anyways, this bed has a pepper in it. I had thought to get some marchant peppers, but I failed to pick them up when I needed to, and I thought, well, my friend put in a bunch, so I'm sure she'll share some for canning the most delicious peppers you ever ate. They're like Bruno's, the Bruno's peppers. Anyways, and so the rest of this bed, I've just been tilling under the crimson clover, and then, or not tilling under, I've been cutting it down and laying it on it and letting it mulch in place, feed the soil, and then I have not decided. The tall cedar, let me see if I can get you up here so you can see the tall cedar that's towering over this shades part of that bed. So in the summer, which isn't good for the vegetables I want to grow. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I think I'll have a tree trimmer come and cut that back. The front of the bed does. So I could put lettuce back there, but I've got tons of lettuce beds already. So in between, you see the tomato cage here. That's my early girl tomato. This obelisk is going to be moved. That's the one I showed you how to build last May. It's very tall. It's 8 feet tall. The bed behind, let's go over there. The bed behind that has the cage on it, that's to protect the basil seedlings. Let me get over there and see if we've got any seedlings coming up. Not yet, but I'm sure in this heat up, they will start. They like it toasty. Now, last week we had mild. The week before we had freezing temperatures, so I'm sure it just needs a little more heat to get started. That ghostly looking thing back there is a tomato I put out. I had started in the greenhouse, and it needed to be shaded because it was very warm yesterday and I didn't want it to go into shock. So shading it a little bit will let it get used to being outdoors. And the same with this one, except I just hung some rags on the area that's shaded. The tomato, that is my Camp Joy. It's one of my favorite. It's an heirloom. It's a cherry tomato, but it's a little bit bigger. It's more of a ping pong ball size, and they are just the most delicious thing ever, and it produces all summer long. Behind it, you can see, let's zoom in a little bit. You can see my lettuce bed. You can see I've been picking a lot of lettuce from that bed as well as the tub up above. And then behind it, you see some tomato cages. Maybe you don't. They kind of blend in. They're green. Those have sugar snap peas at the base, and that will support the sugar snap peas. And in front of the lettuce is where I planted my cucumber seeds, though I haven't seen any sight of them yet, but with the heat up, I probably will. So let's walk around this way and look down. And there's my strawberry bed. They're just doing great. I even have some little berries. I should have, like I said last time, cut the berries off. I just didn't have the heart to. They say they do better, get better established, but I'm willing to wait and enjoy a few fresh berries from this season. And there you have it. Well, I have a water jug there. In that is a butterfly bush. I'm not sure what color. It might be a lavender one or a white one. I can't remember which one I put here. So I'll see when it blooms, but I didn't know where I wanted to put that, so it's in a pot, and we'll see how it does in a pot. And this is the back side of the secret garden. And right here, this is a sentimental rose in a pot. I had to dig that up to not last fall, but the fall before. Well, actually, it was in midwinter. I saw that it was getting eaten by gophers, and I dug it up, plopped it in this pot. All I had on hand was my homemade compost, so I just filled the pot with that. And let me tell you, this rose loved it. It did beautiful last summer. It was the first summer in the pot, and whatever was in that compost, it did the trick. It was great, great potting soil. And it's still doing beautiful. Okay, let's walk around to the garden again. Well, my friends, that is this week's Secret Cottage Garden Tour. This is the 4th week of May. And in fact, this is Memorial Day weekend. So I tried to do this yesterday, and there was so much traffic around my house. There was a house being roofed down there. My neighbor had company. So there was much more noise than silver crowing in the background. So I hope you enjoyed touring the garden with the iris in full bloom. And next week, it'll probably have changed dramatically again. So I'll see you then.